The Phoenix Suns are trading two-time NBA Finals MVP Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 overall pick in the 2025 draft, and 5 second-round picks. That is quite the haul for the Phoenix Suns. Jalen Green, an up-and-coming great player in this league. And for the Houston Rockets, Dillon Brooks, we know, is a veteran, a pro, been there, done that. Of course, he got worked by LeBron James. That's what he'll always be remembered for. But he is a very solid starter for the Houston Rockets. A number 10 pick, and then, of course, 5 second-round picks. You know what this tells me? Miami Heat were never in this trade offer.
We said this on Friday when we were filling in for Joe Rozier. I didn't believe the Heat were anywhere near this anyways.
The Heat were never in the talks, or never had enough, really, to trade for Kevin Durant, because Jalen Green is a big-time, up-and-coming player that has a very bright future, very young, lot to go with. The only way that you could match Jalen Green, if you're the Miami Heat, would be Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo. And once again, I've told you, I don't believe you can win a championship without Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Kevin Durant. So we would have to have matched. Let's just play the matching game. If you're a Miami Heat, Pat Riley, you would have to have matched the Rockets' offer of Jalen Green with Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo. He's on that level. And if you don't know, Trevor, I know you've watched a lot of Rockets games this past year because you got ties to Texas. Jalen Green is a star. In this league.
It was the best thing to watch on the Rockets game anyway.
So Jalen Green would have had to have been matched. I don't want to hear it from anybody else. Would have had to have been matched by either Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo. Once again, I say you get rid of those guys, you lose your chance to win a championship with Kevin Durant. Now, Dillon Brooks is a solid starter. He might not even have someone to match Dillon Brooks' talent.
No, they don't have anyone to match it with
Duncan
talent.
Robinson, not as good, as much as you want to say, as Dillon Brooks.
Jokic, no.
Jokic is too young. You would have had to send Kel'el Ware. Now, once again, a lot of Heat fans don't want to do that. Now you're gutting your team to get Kevin Durant, a 37-year-old guy. So so let's say you would have matched Jalen Green, Tyler Hero, Dillon Brooks, Kel'el Ware. You lose a rookie, you lose a center, you lose a big guy. Number 10 pick, we have a 20th pick. So we can't even match that. And then 5 second-round picks. We can match that in some way, shape, or form. So as you look, and I break it down for you like that, these Miami Heat were never really in the talks for Kevin Durant.
No,
they could have offered things. They could have said things. And there's all this conjecture that Kel'el Ware had been taken off the table. Well, then Kel'el Ware had been taken off the table. Then you were even more so not in the talks.
No, if they said there's like, oh, Kel'el Ware's not on the table, like, then I would hang up the phone immediately. He's the first thing you have to put in the offer anyways.
That would be a lot of, but with that, there's no way we could have matched what the Rockets. Oh, yeah, by the way, Jalen Green averaged 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists this year. And he's a very young, very talented player.
He was like a number 2 overall pick.
23 years old. Young, 6'4", talented player for a Rockets team that, by the way, was the number 2 seed this year.
Oh, yeah.
In the Western Conference, which was loaded.
That was the most loaded West I've ever seen in maybe 25 years.
That is so discouraging. I know a lot of people are like, oh, who needs Kevin Durant and all this stuff. I don't care about the Kevin Durant, not getting Kevin Durant thing. What's discouraging is that we didn't have really enough to offer to even be at the table.
You didn't even sniff it.
Now, this Rockets deal, to me, is not very good for the Rockets. Jalen Green, I'd rather ride with a 23-year-old explosive young player that knows your culture.
Yeah.
And that did bring you to a number 2 seed, maybe the best player on the Rockets team, you have to argue.
I agree. He was the best thing to watch. And like when he looked at the team, I was like, what are we going to do? It's like, there's really your young spot. You grow like Fred VanVleet is your point. Right. You have a great head coach, and you have a bunch of young pieces, which everybody loves anyways.
Dillon Brooks, who is a solid starter that's very good on defense. Good glue guy. Good in the locker room. Very solid. Very good. Number 10 pick, once again, you can do the math. We have a number 20 pick. You can't even touch what the Rockets were offering in that aspect.
No.
So you couldn't really barely touch anything unless you were willing to come off of the likes of Tyler Hero and most likely Kel'el Ware, which Heat fans adamant about one of the two, if not both of them, not being traded. And once again, if you trade those two guys, what are your chances of making a deep run with the likes of Bam? And I'm not diminishing, but Bam Adebayo and Kevin Durant.
You're a 7 or 8 seed or a 9 seed. You're in the same spot. You're in the same spot. You're in the circle of being a play-in team on Tuesday and Wednesday.
He might be better than that, but Kevin Durant, he can get his points. He's going to get you 26 points and stuff like that. But now you make Bam Adebayo go back to the 5 because Kel'el Ware would have possibly been traded. So Bam goes back to the 5. You got to start filling in points. Kevin Durant, although he's a star and he plays some defense, It's just, man,
You're not getting prime Kevin Durant.
and maybe time will tell that I'm wrong about this, and we're gonna have to wait and see. I still think kind of bad trade by the Houston Rockets.
Reaction right now, it's a bad trade, but we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's going to happen. Free agency starts in July 4th. What is it? July 4th?
But to give up Jalen Green, a star, Dylan Brooks, a starter, a 10th overall pick, and 5 second-round picks. And I don't really worry about the second-round picks because rarely do second-round picks, and they do sometimes come up to be big things, and they're probably going to use it for trade fodder and putting everything like that. But, man, you were a 2 seed in the Western Conference last year. A 2 seed. So things were going right. I really think your youth and inexperience caught you against the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors.
It was a bad match from the start anyways.
Golden State Warriors had Steph Curry still healthy at the time. Jimmy Butler, we know playoff Jimmy, especially early in the playoffs. He's still kind of fresh.
You had Draymond Green and Steph Curry, who's haunted that franchise for almost 15 years.
And the Rockets just didn't have a lot of experience. Whew. Okay. But, man, the sad thing is if you're a Heat fan, I don't think you were ever really legitimately considered with that type of trade by the Phoenix Suns to get Kevin Durant. Now you kind of go back to the drawing board. What is going to happen? We shall wait and see what Pat Riley will do because we know running it back is just too much.